Welcome to The Coalition. This is a talk show dedicated to discussing health, wellness, and inspiration. I'm your host, Dr. Shani Belgrave. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining The Coalition. I'm your host, Dr. Shani Belgrave. I am a bariatric and minimally invasive surgeon in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm also the founder of Onika Bariatrics and Wellness. You can learn more about me and get connected at www.drshanibelgrave.com. I am elated to welcome to the show today Dr. Dolapo Babalola. Dr. Babalola is an amazing primary care physician who also has multiple expertise in obesity management as well as aging and functional medicine. Dr. Babalola, thank you so much for joining the show.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I love all that you do. So I'm truly honored to be on your platform. Thank you for the invitation.
Absolutely. So before we get into a topic that I'm fascinated by, which is how to age powerfully and to live at our finest, particularly as we age, can you please get us started by letting us know a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am a family physician. I am boarded in obesity lifestyle as well as menopause care. I am the owner of Living at Your Finest Wellness, which is a membership-based, holistic, and integrative direct primary care practice in Marietta, Georgia. So that's who I am. I am passionate about providing whole person care as well as personalized care to not just families as well as small business owners. Really key word there is making sure that not only do we live long, but we live well. So that's who I am in a nutshell.
Thank you so much. I love that because there's a lot of overlap between your philosophy and my vision, which is customized, personalized, whole person care. So you were the perfect fit for the coalition. So let's get right into it. Maybe you're going to let us know about aging backwards or a fountain of youth. We'll see. But what are some things that you can tell us about how we can age powerfully, which is different than just living longer? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, definitely. Health span is very different from just lifespan, right? So not just how long you live, but how healthy you are. So longevity is not just about living longer, but about being strong. And, in my younger age, I used to think it was all about, being thin, being skinny. But now I know better that it's about being strong because they're key drivers that affect aging. So we say life begins at 40, right? So what are these things that we need to be aware of? So even though aging is inevitable, being frail is not. So I emphasize that a lot. But the biggest drivers for healthy aging is three main things that I want to talk about is muscle, right? It's metabolic health and inflammation control. So those three things are drivers that we all need to be aware of. So if you're in your 30s, something I wish I knew when I was in my 30s about these drivers, because they all add together. It's like, you have a bucket, the little drip of water, it adds up, right? It doesn't have to be big all at once. So when we have the mentality of all or nothing, it's just really those little things that you put in, you inculcate into you adapt into your life every day that makes a difference. So if we wanted to start with the first driver, muscle, what does that mean? We lose muscle as we age. 30 and above, we lose anywhere from 3 to 8% of muscle mass. So if you don't use it, you lose it, right? So the focus on just cardio needs to shift, and we really need to build muscle, lean muscle. So that means, strength, lifting weights, whether it's your own body or weights itself. The second one, of course, I emphasized the metabolic health. That is key for all of us as we get older, because that's going to shift. Whether you're premenopause or menopause, that is going to shift because of the decline of estrogen. And that is a key factor in aging powerfully and stronger. So if we have a balance of our hormones, then we are better off being stronger and aging appropriately. So those are the first two that I want to talk about. There are more. The one that people tend to forget a lot about is just sleep and energy disruptors. When we're drained of energy because we're not sleeping or we're stressed, that can age us forward multiple hours. Now, if you're not sleeping adequately, if you're overly stressed, fight or flight stays high. So that's something that we all need to be aware of. Decrease those stressors as much as we can, maximize our sleep potentials, as well as making sure that the third part, which is the third driver, is inflammation. We live in a world that is full of inflammation, right? I'm sure you have seen that in your own practice, not just the food, the environment, the air. So we need to have a control over that. So those are the ones, the key drivers that I like to always emphasize with my patients. And it makes a big difference, even if it's just 1% better every day, that you incorporate those different behavioral changes into your life to help with you aging strongly.
Well, thank you so much. All of that is extremely insightful. I'm always telling everyone sleep is so important because I think that's something that people often underestimate the importance of sleep. And we have been talking about more, even in the lay media, inflammation. So I think people are increasingly aware
Yeah.
about inflammation. So all those are really great points. And of course, muscle, muscle, muscle. I'm always telling everybody pick up some weights, and cardio is great for the heart, but don't forget to incorporate some weights and resistance training. So thank you. Now, this is a perfect segue. What should people know about feeling weak, tired? What can that be a sign of, or what should people look at if they are already getting adequate sleep? So first off, you can tell us what is adequate sleep, and if they are already getting adequate sleep and they have this sense of not low energy, being tired, what are some things that they should consider?
Yeah, absolutely. There's several things to consider when we talk about just aging powerfully. It doesn't mean that we fight our biology, right? Because it's there for a reason to protect us. What we just need to do is understand it, work with it, and support the body through it. So when we talk about what is adequate sleep based on the guidelines, because I follow the evidence, it's anywhere from 7 to 8 hours. You might see in some places say 7 to 9 hours, but everybody is different. The ballpark is somewhere about 7 to 8. So what are those things that you need to, as we get older, the things that we used to get away with, where you could just maybe drink up, maybe have a glass of wine with your friends or do an all-nighter. Those things don't support our biology as we get older. So we need to be mindful of those things that are sleep disruptors, right? So drinking late, drinking alcohol, blue lights, all the things that disrupt our sleep. We need to be mindful of that and be intuitive about those things, because if we don't sleep adequately, it's going to affect everything, not just how we show up in the morning. Our hunger hormones, satiety hormones, the ghrelin, they are all off. I know this is in your ballpark, right? Those hunger hormones. If we don't sleep adequately, that in turn affects, I know personally, if I sleep adequately, I actually get on the scale and I've lost a few pounds compared to not sleeping adequately, maybe 2, 3 nights on a roll. I am eating all the things that I shouldn't be eating, all the inflammatory foods, right? So that's the first thing. Be aware of those sleep disruptors, and then gradually develop habits that would enhance your sleep. And for me, some of it, I always emphasize to my patients, your sleep at night begins in the morning. So the light, the serotonin, fresh light, when you wake up within the first hour, get into the sunshine. You might say, well, there's not much sun, but if that light gets into your pineal gland, it actually converts serotonin, right? Which is the feel good hormone, to melatonin, which increases over time, and then you have better rest at night. So there are lots of things that I share that you can enhance your sleep, which overall will help with mental clarity, all the things, sleep consolidation. So there are many benefits. So that's one place I definitely would emphasize to start with. And of course, unless you're tracking, you're not going to know, right? You can only assess things if you measure it and track your progress.
So, other than getting enough rest, are there other things that you think about when you encounter a patient that complains of low energy and fatigue?
Yeah. So low energy and fatigue, again, that's a broad differential. It depends on the age. If I'm dealing with women, I'm asking questions about where are you with hormonal changes, right? Are you perimenopause, menopause? And for listeners that are not aware of what perimenopause just means, before menopause. And menopause itself just means not seeing your cycle for 12 months, right? And then afterwards you become postmenopausal. So because of the estrogen, which is a powerhouse for women, right? When that declines, when that decreases, there's a lot of changes that occur because the body consists of 450 receptors, right? Of that touches on estrogen. So that could be one. It could be thyroid. It could also be what you're eating, right? We've already talked about sleep. It could be what you're eating, nutritional. If you're not eating nutrient dense foods, if you're eating a lot of high carbohydrate, white carbohydrate, you're having all that glucose spike and then it crashes you right down. So for me, when I sit with my patients, whether male or female, I am dialing into specifically what is the root cause of why they're tired. If it's not sleep, is it nutrition? Is it hormonal imbalance? And of course, I'm all big on testing and not guessing. In addition to the history, I'm also doing comprehensive blood work just to see what those issues are so that we can treat them, appropriately. But the important thing, though, is let's do the basics, right? The basics is let's sleep well, let's eat well, let's even move. They say motion is the lotion. So when you move, it's that boost of energy that comes into play that energizes us. And even when people say, I don't feel like moving, I'm too tired, it's a roller cycle, right? You're not tired, you're too tired, you're not moving, but then that will make you even more tired. So it's a series of things, it's multifactorial. So diving in depth to what would be the reason behind it and then treating that appropriately to see favorable outcomes. So that's the approach that I usually take. But I want people to know that you're not broken. Whatever it is, there is a solution, and we just need to tease it out and figure out what you need in this season to enable you to feel strong and energized.
I love that. Thank you so much for giving that comprehensive view. Dr. Babalola, are there myths or are there things that you've heard about that people believe helps with anti-aging that is actually backfiring? Different things that people think is going to help them be younger, have increased longevity that are actually harmful.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question because just this week, actually, I had a patient ask me that, so I have amazing patients. I love them dearly, and I'm so grateful to be part of their healthcare journey. But one in particular actually sent me a video about detox. I guess they were watching a lot of, I was just like, I'm going to go on a full body detox, and this was just going to be just liquid with, it wasn't clear. I think she said magnesium citrate. It was an Epsom salt, and she was going to use that to kind of give her energy. So again, the body is so equipped to detox naturally, right? If you place it in the right environment, like the liver, right? If it's receiving the healthy nutrients that it needs, the nutrient dense. So we're talking about whole grain foods, right? Nuts and seeds, legumes. Those really will flush out the system adequately. So that is one myth where people think they can just do a detox, maybe 3-day detox or water fast, and that by itself would restore their body. You're risking electrolytes imbalance. This particular person had actually started it one day and decided because she was having so much diarrhea that she needed to ask me if she should continue for 2 or 3 days. And I said, well, if you're trying to detox, why don't we do it a healthier way, right? With the foods that you incorporate. So that's one that I know of where people feel like they can just do a detox, a liquid detox. What is part of the detox? You want to be very clear about what you're doing there. There is also one where I've heard people speak about, there's nothing wrong with sauna. I love sauna. I do get it once a week. But doing that continuously over like 15 minutes is the max that you should be in a sauna for detox. But if you're doing it every day and you're prolonging it within 20 minutes, you have to be very, very careful because the skin needs moisture. So those are the two that come to mind. I'm sure there's so many of them out there. If anything at all, I tell people, please do your own research. Even what you hear me say, or Dr. Belgrave, just do your research. Make sure you apply it to your own unique situation and just don't feed into everything that you see online, right? Make sure you follow the evidence-based medicine. So that's what I would have to say about that. Just like my patient paused and she was like, let me ask, should I be doing this day 2 and day 3? And she was so pleased that she asked the question because we're able to restore her back, and she felt better and not having diarrhea and having to sit down in the bathroom to commute for close to 6 hours. So yeah, I'm glad that you asked that question. But yeah, those are some things about aging. People have all sorts of information out there about aging, but really, if we just keep it simple, natural, fresh air, sunlight, vitamin D, right? Eat nutrient dense foods, move, sleep. Stress management is also really
Oh,
key.
glad you said that.
It will wear on you. I know. I'm a personal testament to that. Stress by itself, not only will it keep you on that fight or flight mode continuously, but it also damages your arteries, right? So I learned the hard way to minimize stress, have those stress relievers, inculcated into my everyday. So that means in the morning I wake up, breath work, even if it's meditation. Midday, I pause my phone alarm. I have an alarm to remind me to pause, take a breath. What do I need? It might be a sip of water. And then I do it also at night. So these are all the things that really make a big difference in aging strongly and powerfully.
I love that, Dr. Babalola. I especially love the part about doing something every single day for stress management, because we live day to day. And so, it's important to kind of check in internally daily to make sure that we're managing stress. And I wanted to support what you said about people doing their research, but also add, because you kind of said it, but also to make sure it's stated with reputable sources.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Absolutely. Not just search anywhere, but reputable.
Yes, exactly. So thank you so much for that. It has been wonderful having you on the coalition. What would be your takeaway message? I know you said one of them is keep it simple, which I 100% agree with. Any other takeaway message for how we can age powerfully, stay strong, sharp, and healthy?
Oh, I love it. Yeah. So it's all about just being very present every day. I know we we live in a world inundated with all sorts of information, and we're like trying to fast forward our lives like 20 years, 30 years from now. There's nothing wrong with that, but be present, because if we're not present in the now, we miss all the beauty of now, right? So if there was any takeaway, and this I say to myself as well, enjoy the moment, be present, right? Be cognizant of where you are, live in a state of gratitude, because I think it makes a big difference. A state of gratitude and I'm grateful to you. Thank you for inviting me to your beautiful podcast show, for sure. So just being present, appreciate the people around us, appreciate what the body itself can do. It might not be where you want it to be, but be present with where it is now, with the fact that you can lift, you have some grocery bags, or if you have little kids, you can lift them. Be grateful for what the body is capable of doing now, and then support it little by little. It will add up to making you show up as strong as you want, and of course, living at your finest well-being.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Babalola. What is the best way for people to connect with you?
Yeah, so the best way for people to connect with me on social media, I am Living at Your Finest Wellness, both Instagram, Facebook, as well as LinkedIn and TikTok. Not so much TikTok, but that's the name I go by. I love to connect with people. My whole goal is to empower, just my community to stay strong, healthy, and well. And so I do have a YouTube channel called Living at Your Finest Wellness, where if you want to indulge in some evidence-based material, that is one place to check me out. And my website is LAYF Wellness, which stands for Living at Your Finest Wellness. But definitely would love to connect with your audience.
That's amazing. Dr. Babalola, I wanted to also give you a shout out because you have an amazing podcast that is available also on YouTube.
Yeah, that's right. And you were an amazing guest. Thank you so much. A lot of people are raving about your episode. They learned so much. Never learned so much from a bariatric surgeon. So thank you for being a guest on the podcast.
Thank you, Dr. Babalola. We look forward to welcoming you on the show another time. Well, everybody, Thank you so much for tuning in to another impactful episode of The Coalition. I'm your host, Dr. Shani Belgrave, minimally invasive and bariatric surgeon, founder of Onika Bariatrics and Wellness. You can learn more about me and stay connected at www.drshanibelgrave.com. Very special thank you to the extremely accomplished and impressive Dr. Dolapo Babalola of Living at Your Finest. Thanks so much for watching. This is definitely an episode to share. Make sure you share this episode with friends, family, and loved ones, and we will see you on the Coalition another time.